Hello! Hey everybody. We're the two of you who are here right now. We'll see if today's another short one. Again, trying to find the best time to stream as it's been a while and people are busy and working and probably 4 or 5 jobs at this point, the way the economy is. But hey, we're all doing what we can. So grateful that I have the time today to do this. So we'll talk about what we're doing and or what I'm up to, and then what we kind of want to focus on today. Very, very quickly, for those of you who are just hopping on this live stream over the other ones, big grandscape news for my channel is I am kind of taking a hiatus of making videos. I'm hoping to make a couple ones here soon, depending. But as far as regular released videos, can't really make that happen with my current work and money situation. Can't give it the attention that I used to anymore. But I'm very grateful because now I work for DC20 and helping them in both the development side, the writing side, and the world building side. So I'm doing a couple projects for them that's going to kind of build up over time. So that's kind of what we're doing today. One of my favorite projects here, I'll show you here, is the Notion character sheet. So Notion is a huge note-taking tool. It's actually very famous for GMs, for DMs that use a note-taking platform. It's either like this one, Obsidian, or World Anvil. I think are the kind of the big ones. So the World Anvil is the only one that's like specifically for Dungeons and Dragons or world building TTRPG people, where Notion and Obsidian are more just note-taking apps that kind of do everything. And that's kind of what we like. It's like we want to do everything the way that we like it, right? Hey, Peak Max, saw that you were on and wanted to send some love. Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on and saying hi. Honestly, I live for those. I live for those. Just being able to, it's been so long since I've actually talked person to person with you guys. I feel like there's some sort of disconnect when you're not, because I used to live stream like every week for a good year and I was able to talk with you guys, and then I stopped doing that just because of where I had to allot my time, and so I started doing videos every week, and then I got to a point where I was getting so many comments I couldn't keep up with all of them. Anyways, and so it's kind of come full circle. I'm like, it actually feels nice to actually interact with you guys again. And I think that's one of the best parts of having a community, having a channel, having people that like the same things that you do. Sorry. That was a lot, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling recently. Oh, that was the wrong button. Back to this thing, again, what I've been working on here. This is the Notion page and for the character creator. And so I've been able to make a character creator for DC20 for people who want complete customized control over a character sheet while having the automation at the same time, right? Having the automation for your character, meaning that like I can, I can decrease my health. My health is automated by my class. I'll change this. See, I have 10. I have let's say a wizard. Yeah, do a wizard and see how that reset to 8 hit points. Can also decrease that. Take a long rest. Comes up and increases my hit points and resets my stamina and mana and all that stuff. So, like, it's automated, which is super, super cool. And one thing that I actually and you guys probably won't think this is as cool as I do, but I'm a freaking nerd like this. But if you had seen my previous one, actually here, maybe I can actually go back to this test page. This is the test page. As you can see, these originally, as of just a couple weeks ago, these blocks here, they're called gallery views of a database. These can only be listed one item at a time going downwards. So this one, and then the next paragraph, the next paragraph, next paragraph. And so what they actually recently, just a couple weeks ago, made it so that, oops, how did I get there? Made it so that you can put them side by side on things. So before it was just this arrow, and then it was 8 underneath that, and then the arrow underneath that, and it was like that. But now I can just kind of put them side by side, make it super compact. Oh, it's super nice, super nerdy. I love it, right? So I can show you how to do that on this one. So again, what I've just been up to, we'll go to layout, and instead of list, so like how it is currently, we want it compact. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do compact card settings. And what I want to do is I want to move this up here. I don't want these to have their own paragraph, but I'm going to move that. But I do want the save formula to do that. And so these are all the properties, the maths. So you won't see like the prime roll up, and that's just taking the information from the number here and calculating out the save value. But now, as you can see, it's a lot more compact, which is nice. All right, who else do we have? No, nobody. We might have another short day today. Another thing, if you are in the chat now or commenting later, you might help me decide on this thing. So with resistances and condition resistances, or conditions in general, so you have the resistance here, and then the regular conditions, and then resistances here, and these are in your defenses. So you have your precision defense, area defense, regular, heavy, brutal. If you're familiar with DC20, you'll be familiar with that. And you have damage reductions, none, half, or full, depending on like items or upgrades that you get. And then going back to resistances. So this is the current the block that I have, which I think I kind of like the view of most. So basically what will happen is you get a feature that gives you, like, let's say, poison resistance, right? So you add a poison resistance here. So select the damage type, you're going to get poison. There it is. And then select level, you're going to get, I think you're going to get, let's say, immunity, right? So you have immunity to poison. And this here, you can say, oh, I got this from this feature, right? Whatever that feature is. This feature gives me that. Now, this is one way that I can fill that out, or I can go to this kind of, and this is a different way of doing it, or it's just a different layout. And again, you'll just have to tell me which layout you like better. This is more like in list view, where this is more of a gallery view. So you have blocks here, or a list, and then in this case, it's a lot more like your inventory or your weapons. Where you have these here, you have the source that you put here instead, and then here you have the cold, resistance half, and then the short description that it either, cold damage usually freezes you, poison damage usually poisons you. Then you can add a page here, and then do the same thing. You can select, let's say magic, magic resistance half, and that would be from spells or other MP effects, right? And then you're like, oh, well, I got this from my magic weapon, right? With 2 G's because it's fancy. so that's that. That's 2 ways. Same thing with the conditions. Either it can be this block, and you do the same thing where you add a page and then have the condition that you have, and then the severity, right? If you have bleeding 1, bleeding 2, bleeding 3, and so it changes colors as it's getting more severe, and then resetting that if you don't have that. Or you can go to, let's see, this one? Yeah, and then it's outlined like this. My opinion, maybe it fits a little bit better with the resistances than this one. It does seem a little compact. But again, same thing, right? So you increase it here, decrease it there, resetting it, and then it gives you the little short description of what it does, right? And then the source of where maybe the condition came from. Again, I like it here. Just depends on what you like. Let's see. What else am I working on? Some things that I do have to do is the total druid side of things. So I have some notes on what makes a druid form, and then a familiar form, because it is different. And so what I'm planning on doing is creating a database here and making it into a display. So you're going to have something similar to what you have up here, just a lot more compact and probably just in a singular block of all your stats for your druid form. And so that you're able to select your druid form and have it auto-populate in a little block for you. And then you just run off yourself on that block down here. And then there's going to be something similar for an artificer where they can just come down here, use this database to create a magic item using their magic points, right? Their mana points. And so that's something that I would potentially do today with you guys. The last thing that I am working on is a mega dungeon. Spoilers for anyone watching DC20 campaign. Anyone watching that, this is spoilers, right? So click away or do what you got to do if you are on his Patreon and watching his campaign. This is something that's in the future though. So here it is with the mega dungeon, and here is my assistant Tanya. We kind of work on this together. So the dungeon overview is that we're doing like an underground city. This is actually super exciting because it was this underground city that was a floating city. They got torn down by some druids because they basically took it up, lifted the scions, right? The psychic race, took their city and raised it in the air, taking the earth around them with them. And not exactly sure yet, like what that piece of land was that the city was on. But regardless, it was Earth that is no longer connected to the Earth, and so obviously the nature god is really mad. The people that are the druids are very mad that worship the nature goddess. They're very mad that this piece of land is now no longer connected to the whole. And so, long story short, they made a plan. They executed the plan, and they tore the city back down to the Earth, burying the city. And so the adventurers now, hundreds of years later, are now going into this psionic city that's buried underground that had this war past with druids. What are they finding, right? And I'll kind of go over a little bit, and this is kind of DC20 lore. This would be probably the first time that it's being stated. But it's not the final, right? So take my word of advice that none of this is final. It's not published. It's subject to change. It's something that's currently like in DC20 or Dungeon Coach's campaign, right? So currently, they're going down in this thing because they had originally found a map down there, but they lost the map to the bad guy, and the bad guy went in and took what they needed and escaped. The reason that the bad guy could go in there unharmed because of all the traps and the puzzles and all those things is because it's psychically unlocked. Meaning you can bypass any of the traps if you know the psychic way around it, right? Or can use psychic psionic magic. But some of the pieces that the villain might have received because he went in there first, and the players lost their map, and this is the consequence, right? So let's see, go down here, entering the dungeon. It is that they're going to locate it through a magical item. When imbued with divination magic, they'll locate the thing, and it's kind of buried on the beach and hidden in high tide. So when you have high tide, you can't see the entrance of the dungeon. Low tide, you can. Even when you go inside, there's a point where you're going to have to basically test yourself. Let's see, where did I put that? Players find location of low tide. You can go as far as one player got last time. So the door opens only when the tide rises at a certain point in the dungeon. Players must hold their breath as the water fills the room and the pressure activates a hidden lever. Carvings on the wall may hint at it. We got to figure out how they'll know to just wait it out. And then how would they be able to push their breath past those limits if needed? And then once that happens, a door will open to the rest of the dungeon. And then they'll have to escape when it's low tide is on the back end when they're coming back around. So with the dungeon effects, there's also going to be like latent psychic energy that permeates everywhere, giving them debuffs but also maybe some buffs, right? Being able to telepathically like connect with each other while they're inside, would be kind of cool. And then here are the traps. So I've separated into different kinds of areas. So we have traps, puzzles, points of interest, and encounters and monsters. The dungeon effects, the traps and puzzles, things like created by the city itself being just the way that it is, with the psionic, being a city, being buried. These are the things that might happen. And then also people called the Zenith Guards, who basically ran the avengement of the city after it got destroyed. This was kind of a home base. They went out and attacked the druids on land, basically avenging their fallen city. And so their base was here at some point, and then they escaped or left somewhere else, or they died. We don't know exactly what happened to them, but these are some of the things that maybe they set up as traps or puzzles for people coming in, trying to keep the sanctity of this place. Now, this is, again, where you guys can come in to tell me what your ideas are or some things that you might think of to implement here. And some things that you might be like, ooh, this would be actually really cool. You should add that. And I'll be like, heck yeah, right? Steph Van der Velden, that's a name. It's like 4 names in one. Hey, nice to have you guys here. Absolutely happy to see you. It's so cool to see your collaboration. I know, right? It's kind of a full circle thing. Again, people don't know that my first year or two in my channel that the Dungeon Coach kind of coached me and helped me start my channel off. And then we kind of did our own thing for a while, and then we're kind of circled back and collaborating again, which has been fun. So with the traps and puzzles created by the city itself, you're going to have like psychic maze, so it's like the back rooms, but in the ancient city. There is a psychic individual in the party, and I think at this point she does not know her heritage, so she doesn't know that she's like part Cyborn. And so when she goes in, she'll maybe even learn this part of herself that she can kind of manipulate some things and maybe get out of some traps scot-free. But it's basically an endless maze that they need to get out of. There's also panels with doors that only open for our psionic individuals, or codes that have more of a telepathy interaction. Then you have gravity rooms, and this goes into a lore of the city as well, where the psionic people, the Thalnari, they lifted up the city literally just with their minds. It's who they were. They just all kind of collectively, each of them a section of the city, or at least they were all just pulling their weight, per se, right? And with them, all of them pulling their weight, they created this gravity or this psionic force to lift them up. And so you kind of, when it crashed, and all of these people died, the psionic force, or this latent psionic force, is still there. It's creating some of these gravity rooms, right? So you have zero gravity pockets where the players can float, heavy gravity pockets where gravity is increased, orbital gravity that it pulls outward so you can walk on walls and ceilings, and then pulsing gravity pockets where gravity is like turned off and on again. There's also something I thought of like a resonance cannon, where it could be a telekinetic energy cannon that might just be constantly going, like a short circuit wire. There could also be an overgrown obstruction. And again, we're trying to figure this out. This is kind of the rough draft. I'm going to send this to Coach, and then he's going to say what he thinks, and then he's going to send it back to me. So this is a possible interaction with this dungeon that we have. A few sessions out, but we're preparing. Did the druids know of this location with the Zenith guards while they're having this fight with them? Like, did they come here? Did they attack them at some point? And are there going to be evidence of that? So there's overgrown obstruction, like roots that have been grown, created by the druids blocking some of the ways, and then some other interactions there that we'll get to in a second. And then a couple of things that maybe the Zenith Guard made was a fall-away floor, right? Things that you could interact with, maybe something on the opposite side of the room, like with a mage hand or telepathy or telekinesis, to shut that trap off. But if not, you got to figure something else out. A code door, basically, and this is a door that asks for a code, but it's also an opportunity for us to reveal a secret about the Zenith Guard, or something that, like a passphrase that might give away something that these guys valued or held dear, or something that was prominent in the moment of them being alive, or this moment happening, that the players could kind of tune into. So that's an idea. Maybe some shock rings, right? Some like copper stuff that that shoots pulses with electricity. They got to figure out how to turn it off. Ancient sewage. Maybe the Zenith Guard rerouted some sewage. High acidity areas made it so that some parts are difficult to get to. Maybe even sabotage it while they're on their way out. And then you have same things like blight pipes. They changed the air filtration system to make this blight fog, essentially, where it's similar to blight grenades that we'll get to in a second. But it smells like bleach and sulfur, and it's basically like the spell blight when it affects plants heavier than it does people, but it still affects people, right? Steph van der Velden, there we go. Says, oh, that's so wholesome. Lovely to see that you are so enthusiastic. The DC20 team should be very happy with such a strong lore and flavor creator. Thank you. I felt like that is an area that is still missing in. It is. It's just kind of on the back burner, right? There's going to be so much that's there, and I'll be basically heading up the world building team if that all works out. Where we'll get to figure out more of the lore of DC20, but right now it is just mechanics, right? I even was asking Coach about a few things on the world building side, and he's like, no, I can't, not right now. 0.10, tunnel vision. He's like, I can't even look. And so, for you guys, right, he is trying so hard to get the 0.10 edition of DC20 out by Christmas, so you can play your Christmas games with the new rule set, the new updated rule set. So yeah, you also say the current version, which makes sense, but it's so good that they have you on board. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's great. I'm not going to argue with that. But very excited to both see the rules and the lore kind of come together. I think he's announced that there will be the rule book first. He's going to get the rule book out for everybody to use, the entirety of the rules, monsters, character creator, right? Basically what you'd expect in a rule book. And it's going to be basically players and DMs alike can all use the same book. It's not going to be separated like Dungeons & Dragons did. But then a lore book will come after. It's like another Kickstarter. But we'll be more on top of things when it comes to meaning that you're probably not going to wait as long as you are with the DC20 rulebook than you will the lore book. And like I said, we're trying to get an early start on things with me. So those are some of the traps and puzzles that are there. Please let me know if there's anything else that you guys can would think, oh, this would make sense to have in a dungeon like this. And I would be so happy to add it in, and maybe you could see that happen in the DC20 live play that he does. So points of interest, some other things that might be there, right? An old base of operations for the Zenith Guard. They can have battle plans against the Druids, a journal that dictates the memory of them, like slowly losing the memory of their lost city, right? Because a big plot point is they don't remember. They don't remember where the main portion of the city is. At least their ancestors don't. And they're trying to find it again. Oh, hey, we got a super chat. Awesome. I was not expecting that. I appreciate that. Some love from the Netherlands. The night beckons, so I'll listen to the rest tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Steph van der Velden. It's one thing, that great thing about going live is that I can interact with you here, but then it goes up to VOD later. I appreciate that. And let me know if there's anything that you want to add specifically, Steph. I appreciate you. Going on, there could be there's the blight grenades that I talked about. Canisters from the Zenith Guard created to combat the Druids. And then maybe some of the original roots that brought the city down, because there were big roots that kind of grabbed it and sucked it into the earth. Maybe they were studying it for weaknesses, and that's kind of how they came up with the blight grenades, which would be cool. Destroyed Psyopic Glass. So Psyopic Glass is just like a type of glass that they make that like empowers divination magic, and maybe they have these. Let's see. But it also, oh, I guess it does two things. If I'm remembering right, it does two things: divination magic, but also like empower stasis pods. So it's almost like batteries. I actually have to double check on how those work. But it allowed some of the scions to survive the crash. There's another thing that I thought would be really cool, actually. Were they encounters? There was another Psyopic glass thing. Yeah, Psyopic hermit crabs. Like little crabs that have used the Psyopic glass for their shelled homes, and so they have like divination capabilities. I just think that's kind of cute and fun. Going back to points of interest, psychic loop for psychic broadcast. Yeah. So like a plea for help, like a psychic broadcast would be so cool. If there's something that has been repeatedly playing since the city crashed, or something that the Zenith Guard then went in and changed, and so that the Zenith Guard has their message broadcasting instead of the what the city's original message was. And you're like, okay, well, what's that? What would they want to say? There are sections of the city that are underwater, obviously, since it's kind of the low tide, high tide situation, which could also actually give them like a clue on like, okay, when's it safe to go up top again? Bodies of old druids, evidence of nature magic, that gives them hints toward that history there. Also a buried church. I think that this would be interesting, like hundreds of dead scions who had a last chance, who when the city fell, like the thing that they chose to do was just to kind of go and pray in a church, right? As some people do. And then there was so much psychic grief there that kind of imbued themselves with the crystals or even the land they're on, that just being there, you can feel the grief. You can feel the psychic emanation of grief. And having interactions like causing exhaustion or even losing grit points, like your charisma just being affected by this depression, and maybe even some other conditions that the players can get. A memory core basically is a place where they can store their psionic energy, either being there for them to access as an option for them to access, or something that is destroyed because the bad guy got there first, and so now they can't tap into it, which I think would be equally interesting as a consequence. You also have a Psychic Forge. This one's a little bit out there, but I thought, hey, why not? Basically, with all the gravity situation going on, there's an Inferno forge that was kept alive by psychic energy, or even maybe created like a fire elemental, right? That was imbued by the psychic energy. Maybe a floating ball of fire that kind of bounces around, even with a magic forged sword, maybe in the center. That'd be kind of cool. That's just a magic item to get that way. And then a psionic prison that maybe somebody, something, some entity that the psionic people had trapped in prison did not make it out when the city crashed and has been living alone, isolated in this tiny room for hundreds of years. What's that guy going to do, right? And how's that interaction going to be? Obviously, he's going to try to get out. He's going to try to get the players to maybe make a deal with them, or threaten them, or blackmail them, or something, right? It'd be interesting. Some other encounters, monsters, some things that might be going into the dungeon as well. Automation guards and sanitation drones that may have been malfunctioned could still be active. The interesting things about this one that I wanted to do, though, is that usually automatons or constructs, like in something like Dungeons and Dragons or even DC20, are immune to psychic energy because they don't have brains, right? They're immune to it. However, with being created by psionic people, there has to be some sort of integration of telepathy or psychic energy, and so these ones are actually vulnerable to psychic energy. Or when you use psychic damage on them, it actually stuns them, right? It was a way for the science to control them. But that would be super interesting. There might be Lipson here, a very old, abandoned Zenith Guard or person from that wandered in here, driven mad by isolation, like he just couldn't find a way out. Maybe he was back in the back rooms for a while. Also, at like a training room holodeck, maybe leaning into some science fiction vibes, specifically Star Trek, where you have like this room, this training area that creates holographic enemies and environments, and then the players fight these things before realizing it's all fake, and maybe they can even use this room as an advantage later on. You might also have an overgrown greenhouse or research area that imbues the plants with psychic energy from being in this place for so long. creating like a psychic awakened plant mini jungle kind of thing, right? Stepped into Jumanji in a way. That would be really cool. Mind eels, so also something imbued with some psychic energy, like electric eels, except they 100 packs and do psychic damage. Kind of hitting along the side with the animal thing, there could be also a zoo that was in the city, and this zoo had been involved, or had been integrated with this psychic energy as well. But again, I didn't want to do it again with the psychic energy. I'm like, okay, what else is there? But there could be like just an apex predator that killed all the others. Some creature, some fantasy creature that when they hit the ground and were buried underneath, this atmosphere, or this, not atmosphere, environment basically is its peak living condition, is perfect for it. And so it just thrived, killed everything else, and is now just this apex underground predator, which would be very, very cool. Also would be kind of interesting and a fun element. Again, I tend to run like kind of a gritty, serious, like horror type games is kind of what I thrive on. And so I try to be more humorous in places where I can. But Ghostly Specters of the Dead, I didn't want this to just be a ghost fight, but this could be like judges in a council chamber where the players come in and all of a sudden they're running a court because they don't think themselves dead. They're just carrying out like what they had repeated that day before the fall. And so they have to go through this court proving their innocence of something that happened. And then if they lie, then they take psychic damage, right? I think that would be really interesting. Dark Scion Amalgamation. Dark Scions were originally what had started the... no, it wasn't who started the war with Druids. Basically, they were like a different sect. A different evil portion of the Scion race. That again goes into another lore aspect. But basically they were having basically a civil war, but at the same time that they were having this war with the Druids, which ultimately led to their downfall. But this Dark Scion, who could have survived the crash, but this darkness that was in him changed him fully, became some sort of aberration in isolation. So kind of similar to the person who was driven mad, but kind of magnifying that over time magically with a couple different factors. Then the last thing is Psionic Ooze. Oops. Oh, cancel that. Stop it. Psionic Ooze is a psychic goo that instinctively tries to consume the person of the highest intelligence, right? It's just feeding off of this psychic energy. Would be a very fun element of the table. I don't know if your players do it, my players do it. But if one's more smart than another of the players, they like to joke around them being smarter than everyone else. Character-wise, not player being smarter than everyone else, but character being smarter than everybody else. But same thing goes, so like, oh, I'm stronger than everybody else. So yeah. So this is some things that I'm working on. Very excited for it. This is the base element, or kind of what we're starting with, and then we'll continue to delve deeper, kind of make it narrow and narrow, and then make it super specific on what we want to do with the lore therein. So super happy to get you guys' ideas. Super happy to implement those. So please let me know, either in the comments below or otherwise. So that's kind of the update. Again, I need to figure out maybe a better time to do these streams specifically. Just trying to find the best time for everybody. So please let me know if there's a better time for you. I did a poll. Only like a couple people commented on the poll or clicked on the poll. So it's one of those things. It's like it's not a reliable set of data. So let me know in the comments below, and what we can do. We can do things better than that. So, but I think we'll stop there, and then maybe have another update for you guys next time. I'll show you what we're working on next. So until then, go out there and make your worlds a better place. Thanks, guys. See ya.